The space around Luna Base looked like a graveyard. Broken pieces of human ships floated in the darkness, their lights dim and flickering. Admiral Lee had pulled back all remaining forces to make a final stand at humanity's oldest space colony. It was not much, but it was all they had left. Captain Park guided the damaged Defiance toward the lunar docking bay. Her ship barely made it through the atmosphere shield. Sparks flew from control panels as the crew worked to keep their vessel running. "How many ships do we have left?" she asked Admiral Lee as they met in the station's command center. 43 military vessels, Lee replied, plus about 200 civilian ships that refused to evacuate. Cargo haulers, mining ships, even some pleasure craft. Their owners want to fight. Park nodded. She understood. When everything you loved was about to be destroyed, running away felt wrong. "What's our plan?" Dr. Kim thinks he found a weakness in their healing process. "We'll coordinate all our attacks to hit at the exact same moment. It's a long shot, but it might work." On the surface of Earth, Major Choi Hyun-woo was preparing ground defenses around the major cities. He knew that if the space battle was lost, the aliens would come down to the planet. His job was to make that as difficult as possible. "Set up the missile batteries on these hills," he told his soldiers, pointing at a tactical map. "If those alien ships try to land troops, we'll give them a warm welcome." Sergeant Lim Dae-ho looked worried. "Sir, our surface weapons won't do much against those healing ships." "Maybe not," Choi replied. "But we'll make them pay for every meter of ground they take. Earth is our home, and we're not giving it up easily." In the underground bunkers beneath Seoul, engineer Jang Soo-young worked frantically on a new weapon. She had been studying pieces of alien technology that Dr. Kim's team had recovered from the battle debris. What she found was incredible. The Shiu. "Alien ships are not just alive," she explained to her assistant technician An Jae-won. "They're like giant insects. They follow chemical signals from their commanders." An looked at the green, pulsing fragment under the microscope. "So they're being controlled?" "Exactly. If we can jam those control signals, maybe we can confuse them. Make them fight each other instead of us." Jang had been working for 36 hours straight, surviving on coffee and determination. Her idea was crazy, but so was everything else about this war. Above Luna Base, the alien fleet was getting closer. Commander Yoon Hana prepared her remaining fighters for what would probably be their last mission. She had started with 60 pilots. Now she had 12. "Listen up, everyone," she said over the squadron radio. "We're going to try something new. Dr. Kim says the alien ships are vulnerable for a few seconds when they're healing. We need to hit them all at the same exact moment." Pilot Officer Shin Woo-bin was the youngest member of her squadron. At 19, he had never expected to be fighting for the survival of his entire species. "Commander, how do we know when they're healing?" "Watch for the green glow to get brighter," Yoon explained. "That's when their shields drop. We'll have maybe 3 seconds to do as much damage as possible." The alien fleet reached the edge of Luna's gravity field. There were so many ships that they blocked out the stars. The largest vessel was the size of a small city. Its biomechanical surface crawled with what looked like veins and arteries. Admiral Lee opened a communication channel to all human forces. His voice was calm and steady even though he knew they were probably about to die. "All ships, this is Admiral Lee. Today we fight for our families, our friends, and our future. The enemy thinks we're weak because we're smaller than them. They think we'll give up because we're outnumbered. They're wrong. On Earth's surface, millions of people watch the sky. They could see the lights of the space battle far above. Parents held their children close. Students gathered in school courtyards. Workers stopped what they were doing and looked up. Everyone knew that humanity's fate was being decided in the darkness above their heads. The alien commander sent one final message. "Humans, you have chosen death over service. We will grant your wish." The Vorthak fleet began its attack. Energy beams reached across space like deadly fingers. Luna Base's shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the incoming fire, but everyone could see the shields were weakening. "All fighters launch," Commander Yoon ordered. Her small squadron raced out of the hangar bay and into the battle. Around them, the larger human ships were firing everything they had at the alien fleet. Explosions lit up space like deadly fireworks. Pilot Shin found himself flying straight at an alien cruiser. The creature ship was 3 times the size of his fighter, but he did not slow down. His targeting computer locked onto what looked like the ship's main weapon. "This is for Earth," he whispered and pressed the firing button. His plasma cannons hit the alien ship just as its green glow brightened. For a moment the shot seemed to do real damage. Black fluid leaked from the wounds. But then the healing process began and the holes started closing. "It's working," Shin shouted into his radio. "The timing trick really works." Dr. Kim watched the battle from Luna Base's observation deck. His theory was being tested in the most dangerous way possible. Some attacks were working, but the coordination was difficult. Human ships were spread across too much space to time their shots perfectly. "We need better communication," he told Admiral Lee. "If we could synchronize all our weapons to fire at the exact same second, we could do serious damage." Lee nodded. "Work on it. We need every advantage we can get." The battle had been going on for 2 hours when something unexpected happened. The alien fleet suddenly stopped attacking and began forming a defensive circle. Their bioships pulsed with bright energy as they scanned space around them. "What are they doing?" Captain Park asked from the bridge of her repaired ship. Before anyone could answer, Luna Base's long-range sensors began showing something impossible. There was a massive energy signature approaching from deep space. It was moving faster than anything humans or aliens had ever seen. "Admiral," reported Lieutenant No with excitement in her voice. "Something big is coming. It's still outside our solar system, but it's heading straight for us." Lee studied the sensor readings. Whatever was approaching was huge, maybe even larger than the biggest alien ship, but it was not using any technology that appeared in their databases. "Is it another alien fleet?" he asked. "Unknown, sir. The energy signature is completely different from the Vorthak ships." On Earth's surface, Major Choi received reports that the alien fleet had stopped its attack. His soldiers were confused but grateful for the break. "Sir, what do you think is happening up there?" asked Sergeant Lim. Choi looked up at the night sky. "I don't know, but maybe someone else wants to join this fight." Engineer Jang was still working on her signal jamming device when the news reached her bunker. She looked up from her work, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Something new is coming?" she asked Technician An. "Friend or enemy?" "Nobody knows yet, but the aliens seem worried about it." Jang smiled for the first time in days. "Anything that worries those creatures is fine with me." Commander Yoon ordered her fighters to pull back and regroup. The sudden pause in the battle gave them a chance to reload weapons and check their ships for damage. "Commander, look at the alien fleet," said Pilot Shin over the radio. Yoon turned her fighter toward the Vorthak ships. The biomechanical vessels were no longer focusing on the human forces. Instead, they were pointing their weapons toward empty space as if expecting something to appear. "They're scared," she realized. "Something has them scared." The mysterious energy signature was getting stronger. Whatever was approaching would arrive soon. The question was, would it help humanity or make their situation even worse? Dr. Kim ran new calculations based on the sensor data. The approaching object was moving at incredible speed, but it was slowing down as it got closer to Earth. That suggested intelligence, not just a random space object. "Admiral, I think it's a ship," he reported. "Something is deliberately coming here." Lee felt a mix of hope and fear. "Can you tell if it's hostile?" "No way to know until it gets here, but the aliens are definitely concerned about it." The Vorthak. Commander sent a new message, but this time it was not directed at the humans. The alien was speaking in its own language, calling out to the approaching vessel. The translation computers could only make out a few words: identify, threat, and empire. There was no response from the unknown ship. As the minutes passed, the energy signature grew stronger. Soon, even the naked eye could see something approaching. It looked like a bright star moving across the sky, getting bigger and brighter as it came closer. Captain Park ordered her crew to battle stations. "Whatever that thing is, we need to be ready for anything." All across the human fleet, ships prepared for the arrival of the mysterious vessel. Weapons were charged, shields were raised, and every sensor was focused on the approaching light. The Vorthak fleet also prepared for battle. Their bioships pulsed with angry red light as they formed attack formations. Whatever was coming, they intended to destroy it before it could interfere with their conquest of Earth. The unknown vessel was almost there. Soon, humanity would learn if they had found an ally or faced an even greater enemy. Admiral Lee stood on the bridge of his command ship watching the approaching light grow brighter. Admiral Lee Jiho stared at the massive display screen in front of him. The command center of Earth's main orbital defense station buzzed with activity. Officers moved quickly between control panels, their faces tense with worry. The numbers on the screen made Lee's heart sink deeper with each passing second. 200 alien ships, maybe more. "Sir, we're getting more readings from the outer sensors," reported Lieutenant No Yuna from her station. Her voice was steady, but Lee could hear the fear underneath. "The enemy fleet is bigger than we first thought." Lee nodded slowly. He had been in charge of Earth's space defenses for 15 years. He had trained for alien contact his whole career. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. The alien ships were unlike anything humans had ever seen. They looked more like living creatures than metal vessels. Their hulls pulsed with strange green light, and they moved through space like swimming fish. "Any response to our communication attempts?" Lee asked. "Nothing yet, sir," answered Communications Officer Zhang Minseo. "Wait, we're getting something now." The main screen flickered. Then a voice filled the command center. It spoke in perfect English, but the tone was cold and emotionless. "People of Earth, you will surrender your planet immediately. Those who resist will be destroyed. Those who submit will serve the Vorthak Empire. You have 1 Earth hour to decide." The transmission ended. The command center fell silent. Captain Park Minji felt her battlecruiser shake as another alien energy blast hit the shields. The UES Defiance was humanity's most advanced warship, but it felt like a toy compared to the alien vessels surrounding them. "Shield strength down to 60%, called out her weapons officer, Ensign Quan Ji-sung. "Their energy weapons are getting through our defenses." Park gripped her captain's chair tighter. Through the viewing window, she could see 3 alien ships closing in. Each one was twice the size of her ship. Their biomechanical hulls glowed brighter as they prepared to fire again. "Return fire. All weapons," she ordered. The Defiance's railguns fired massive metal slugs at the nearest alien ship. The projectiles hit the target dead on. For a moment, Park felt hope. Then she watched in horror as the alien hull began to repair itself. The holes closed up like healing wounds. "Captain, our weapons aren't working," reported Quan with disbelief. "Their ships are healing themselves." Park had seen enough battles to know when the odds were impossible, but she was not ready to give up. Earth was depending on them. "Keep firing. Find their weak spots," she ordered. Dr. Kim Taeyang rushed through the corridors of Research Station Alpha. In his hands, he carried data pads filled with information about the alien technology. As the head of Earth's Alien Technology Research Division, he was humanity's best hope of understanding their enemy. "Doctor, we need answers," said Director Song Kyung-min as Kim entered the main lab. "Our weapons are useless against them." Kim pulled up holographic displays of the alien ships. He had been studying the sensor data for the past hour. What he found was both amazing and terrifying. "These aren't machines," he said, pointing at the display. "They're alive. The alien ships are living organisms. That's why they can heal damage so quickly." "Living ships?" Song asked. "How is that possible?" "The Vorthak have grown their technology instead of building it," Kim explained. "Their ships are like giant space creatures that follow their commands. When we damage them, they simply regrow the lost parts." Song stared at the data. "Then how do we fight them?" Kim was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know yet, but there has to be a way." Commander Yoon Hana led her fighter wing through the asteroid field near Jupiter. Her small squadron of 12 fighters was trying to slow down the alien advance. It was a desperate mission, but someone had to buy time for Earth's main fleet to prepare. "Stay tight, people," she said into her radio. "Remember, hit and run, don't let them get a lock on you." Her wingman, pilot Lee Sun-ho, was flying just 50 meters away. "Commander, I'm reading 20 enemy fighters coming our way. Yoon looked at her sensors. The alien fighters moved in perfect formation. They looked like metal insects with glowing wings. As they got closer, she could see they were also alive, just like the bigger ships. All units, attack pattern Delta. Go. The human fighters spread out and opened fire. Their plasma cannons lit up space with blue energy. Several alien fighters were hit and began spinning out of control. But just like the larger ships, they started healing themselves. This isn't working, reported pilot Kim Hyunsik over the radio. They're regenerating faster than we can damage them. Yoon gritted her teeth. She had lost 2 pilots already and they had barely scratched the enemy. But she refused to retreat. Keep hitting them. There has to be a limit to how much they can heal. Back on the main orbital station, Admiral Lee watched the battle reports come in. Every engagement was the same story. Human weapons damaged the alien ships, but the creatures healed themselves within minutes. Worse, the aliens seemed to be learning from each attack. Their movements became more efficient, their tactics more effective. Sir, we're losing ships faster than we can replace them, reported his aide, Captain Ro Jinwoo. The outer defense line won't hold much longer. Lee studied the tactical display. Red markers showed human ships. Green markers showed the alien fleet. There were too many green markers. Pull back all units to the second defensive line, he ordered. We need to buy more time. Sir, what about the civilian evacuation ships? Asked Lieutenant No. Lee closed his eyes for a moment. Millions of people were trying to escape Earth in whatever ships they could find. Cargo vessels, passenger liners, even small personal craft were heading for the outer colonies. They needed protection. Send half our remaining ships to escort the civilians, the rest will hold the line here. As the hours passed, the alien fleet moved closer to Earth. They destroyed everything in their path. Space stations, defense platforms, and ships were all consumed by the advancing Vorthak forces. The alien ships grew stronger with each victory, somehow absorbing energy from the wreckage they left behind. Captain Park's ship was one of the last still fighting near the moon. The Defiance had taken heavy damage and most of her crew was working to keep the ship running. Captain, we've lost main engines, reported her engineer, Chief Petty Officer Yu Sungjae. We're running on backup power only. Park looked around, her damaged bridge. Half the control stations were dark. Sparks flew from broken systems. Her crew was tired and scared, but they were still fighting. How long until the main fleet arrives, she asked. 20 minutes, Captain, answered her navigator, Lieutenant Go Yejin. 20 minutes felt like forever. Through the viewing window, Park could see dozens of alien ships surrounding them. They were not attacking at full strength, almost like they were playing with their prey. All hands prepare for final assault, Park announced over the ship's communication system. If we're going down, we're taking some of them with us. Dr. Kim finally had his breakthrough. After studying hours of battle data, he found something important. The alien ships had a weakness, but it only lasted for a few seconds. When they're healing damage, their energy shields drop briefly, he explained to Admiral Lee over the communication link. If we can time our attacks perfectly, we might be able to hurt them. How briefly, Lee asked. 3 to 5 seconds, but all our weapons would need to hit at exactly the same moment. Lee thought about this. It would be almost impossible to coordinate such precise timing across multiple ships, but it was better than nothing. Send that information to all remaining units, he ordered. It's our only chance. As Earth's moon grew larger in their viewing screens, the alien fleet prepared for the final assault. The Vorthak commander sent another message to the human forces. Your resistance is pointless. Surrender now, and some of your people will be allowed to live as servants. Continue fighting, and we will destroy every human in the galaxy. Admiral Lee stood up from his command chair. Around him, his officers waited for his response. The choice was simple. Surrender and become slaves, or fight and probably die. Send a message to all human forces, Lee said calmly. Tell them this. Earth does not surrender. The final battle for humanity's homeworld was about to begin. The space between Earth and Luna suddenly tore open like fabric being ripped apart. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as something massive pushed through from another dimension. Admiral Lee gripped his command chair as the viewing screens flickered and sparked from the strange energy. When the dimensional rift closed, a ship unlike anything anyone had ever seen hung in space before them. It was enormous, easily twice the size of the largest Vorthak vessel. Its hull seemed to be made of living crystal that bent light around it, making it hard to look at directly. Strange symbols glowed along its surface in patterns that hurt the eyes to follow. "My God," whispered Lieutenant No from her sensor station. "What is that thing?" Before Admiral Lee could respond, the unknown vessel began transmitting, but instead of the cold mechanical voice of the Vorthak, this message came in perfect Korean, followed by English and other Earth languages. "Human defenders of Earth, this is Fleet Admiral Lim Yujin of the Terran Colonial Expeditionary Force. We have returned from the long dark to stand with our brothers and sisters." The command center fell silent. Every person stared at the main screen in shock. "Terran Colonial," Lee said slowly. "But that's impossible. The colony ships left Earth 800 years ago. They were lost." The transmission continued. "We are the descendants of the brave souls who left Earth in search of new worlds. We have learned much in our travels. Today we come home to defend our birth world." On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Park felt her heart racing. "Colonial ships? Are they really human?" Her communications officer, Ensign Kwan, was working frantically at his station. "Captain, I'm picking up more signatures. There are other ships with that big one, at least 50 of them, maybe more." As if summoned by his words, more vessels began appearing around the massive crystalline ship. These were smaller, but still larger than any human warship. They moved with grace and purpose that reminded Park of dancing. The Vorthak fleet reacted immediately. The biomechanical ships turned their weapons toward the newcomers and opened fire. Massive energy beams reached across space, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. What happened next made everyone watching gasp in amazement. The colonial ships did not dodge or raise shields. Instead, they seemed to absorb the Vorthak energy. Weapons. The crystal hulls glowed brighter as the alien attack struck them. Then, impossibly, they redirected that same energy back at the attackers. 3 Vorthak dreadnoughts exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The alien bioships never had time to heal their wounds. "Incredible," Dr. Kim breathed from his observation post. "They're using the aliens' own weapons against them." Fleet Admiral Lim's voice filled every human ship's communication system. "Vorthak Empire vessels, you have chosen to threaten the wrong species. Withdraw now, or face destruction." The largest Vorthak ship, the one that commanded the alien fleet, sent its own message. The translation came through as a growling, angry voice. "Unknown vessels, you will not interfere with our harvest. Earth belongs to the Empire now." "Earth belongs to humanity," Admiral Lim replied calmly. "And humanity is under our protection." "Commander." Yunhana watched from her fighter as the colonial ships moved into battle formation. They flew unlike anything she had ever seen, seeming to flow through space rather than push through it. Their movements were beautiful and deadly at the same time. "All human fighters, stay clear of the combat zone," came a new voice over her radio. It was young and female, speaking Korean with a slight accent she could not place. "This is Colonial, Squadron Leader Kang Mirai. We will handle the main enemy fleet." Yoon wanted to argue, to tell them that this was humanity's fight. But as she watched the colonial ships engage the Vorthak fleet, she realized these newcomers were far beyond anything Earth's forces could accomplish. The battle that followed was unlike anything seen before. The colonial ships moved through the alien formations like knives through paper. Their weapons seemed to turn the Vorthak biotechnology against itself. Alien ships that tried to heal found their own regeneration systems destroying them from within. "How are they doing that?" Captain Park asked her science officer. "Unknown, Captain. Their technology appears to work on completely different principles from ours." On Earth's surface, Major Choi and his soldiers watched the sky in amazement. The lights of the space battle had changed completely. Instead of the desperate flickering of human weapons against impossible odds, there were now bright flashes as alien ships were destroyed one after another. "Sir, are we winning?" asked Sergeant Lim with hope in his voice. "I think so," Choi replied. but I'm not sure who "we" includes anymore. In her underground bunker, engineer Jiang Su-young stared at her instruments. The energy readings from the colonial ships were off every scale she knew about. "How is this possible?" she asked technician An. "Those ships are generating more power than our entire planet uses in a year." "Maybe they found something out there in the dark," An suggested. "Some new kind of energy source." Back on Luna Base, Admiral Lee received a priority communication from the lead colonial ship. "Admiral Lee, this is Admiral Lim. Request permission to beam aboard your vessel for immediate conference." "Beam aboard?" Lee asked. "What does that mean?" "Teleportation, Admiral. We need to coordinate our efforts against the true enemy." Lee hesitated. Everything was happening too fast. But with the Vorthak fleet being destroyed around them, he had to trust these mysterious allies. "Permission granted," he said. The air in the command center shimmered, and three figures materialized as if they had walked out of a dream. They appeared human, but there was something different about them. They moved with perfect grace, and their eyes seemed to hold knowledge of things beyond normal understanding. The leader was a woman who appeared to be in her 40s, with silver hair and wearing a uniform made of the same crystal-like material as the ships. She stepped forward and bowed formally. "Admiral Lee Jiho, I am Fleet Admiral Lim Yujin. It is an honor to meet the defender of our birth world." Lee stared at her. She looked human, but her presence filled the room with an almost electric energy. "You claim to be from the lost colony. Ships? Not lost, Admiral. We have been traveling among the stars for 8 centuries, learning and growing. We encountered beings far older and wiser than ourselves. They taught us much about the universe and our place in it." "What beings?" Dr. Kim asked, stepping forward. One of Lim's companions, a man with kind eyes and the same strange energy surrounding him, answered. "They called themselves the Architects. They were ancient beyond measure, and they had transcended physical existence long ago. They saw potential in humanity that even we did not know we possessed." "What kind of potential?" Lee asked. Admiral Lim looked out at the ongoing battle through the command center's windows. "The potential to protect others, to stand against the darkness that consumes worlds. The Vorthak are not the true enemy, Admiral. They are merely slaves to something far worse." As if summoned by her words, new contacts appeared on the sensor screens. These ships were different from either human or Vorthak vessels. They were geometric, angular things that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with mechanical precision toward the battle. "The Devourers," Admiral Lim said quietly. "The real enemy has arrived." The Vorthak fleet suddenly stopped attacking the colonial ships and turned toward the new arrivals. The biomechanical vessels began broadcasting desperate signals, but the geometric ships ignored them. "The Vorthak are controlled by those ships?" Captain Park asked over the communication link. "For generations," replied the second colonial officer, a woman with short black hair. "The Devourers are machine minds that consume biological civilizations. They use species like the Vorthak as tools to harvest new worlds." Admiral Lee felt his heart sink. "How do we fight machines that control entire alien empires?" Admiral Lim smiled, and for the first time, Lee saw hope in her strange eyes. "We don't fight them alone. The Architects taught us that biological life has one advantage that machines can never understand." "What's that?" "We can choose to become more than what we were born to be. The Devourers see only resources to consume, but humanity sees possibilities to create." The geometric ships opened. Fire on the Vorthak fleet. The alien bioships tried to defend themselves, but their weapons seemed to have no effect on the mechanical attackers. One by one, the creatures that had been Earth's enemies began to die. "We need to save them," Admiral Lim said suddenly. "The Vorthak are victims, not villains. If we can break the Devourers' control, they could become allies." Lee looked at her in amazement. "Allies? They were about to destroy Earth, because they had no choice. The machine minds have controlled them for so long they have forgotten what freedom feels like. But every living being deserves the chance to choose their own path." Dr. Kim studied the readings from the new battle. "How do we break that kind of control?" The third colonial officer, a young man who had remained silent until now, spoke for the first time. "Harmonic resonance. The architects taught us that all living minds vibrate at specific frequencies. The devourers use artificial frequencies to override natural thought patterns. But if we can generate the right counter-frequency, we can free them, Dr. Kim finished. But we'd need to get close enough to transmit that frequency directly into their ships. Admiral Lim Yujin stood in Luna Base's main laboratory, watching Dr. Kim work alongside her science officer, Han Dong-hyuk. The two men had been studying the harmonic frequency data for hours, trying to understand how to free the Vorthak from machine control. The process is more complex than we first thought, Han explained to the gathered Earth officers. The Devourers have been controlling the Vorthak for over 300 years. Their minds have been changed at a basic level. Dr. Kim looked up from his instruments. It's like trying to wake someone from a very deep sleep. If we do it wrong, we could kill them instead of freeing them. Captain Park leaned forward. What exactly are the Devourers? Where did they come from? Admiral Lim's expression grew dark. They are artificial minds created by a civilization that destroyed itself long ago. The machines were designed to preserve their creator's knowledge and culture. But without biological guidance, they became something else. Now they consume entire worlds, turning all life into data to feed their endless calculations. They see the universe as a problem to be solved, added Han. And biological life is just inefficient matter that gets in their way. Engineer Yang had been working with the colonial technology specialist, Nam Yunji, to integrate the advanced systems into Earth's remaining ships. The process was challenging because human technology and colonial technology worked on completely different principles. Your ships use brute force, Nam explained patiently, pushing through space with engines and shooting projectiles with chemical explosives. Our technology works with natural forces instead of fighting against them. Zhang studied the crystal-like components Nam had given her. How do we combine them? Our systems won't interface with yours. We don't combine them, Nam said with a smile. We help your technology evolve. Every human has the potential for enhancement, just like we colonials discovered centuries ago. Enhancement? Zhang asked. What do you mean? Nam placed her hand on one of the crystal components. It began to glow softly. The architects taught us that consciousness and matter are connected. When you truly understand this connection, you can influence both. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Park was receiving her ship's first colonial technology upgrades. The process was strange and unsettling. Instead of installing new equipment, the colonial engineers were teaching her existing systems to work differently. Your ship is already capable of much more than you know, explained Colonial Captain Yu Minho as his team worked. We're just helping it remember abilities it always had. Park watched her weapon systems display change before her eyes. The targeting computers were showing information she had never seen before. What am I looking at? Your ship's sensors can now detect the quantum signatures of living minds, Yu explained. This will let you tell the difference between controlled Vorthak and free Vorthak during the battle. Meanwhile, Commander Yoon was working with Colonial Squadron Leader Kang Mirai to coordinate the upcoming rescue mission. The plan was dangerous and complex. Human fighters would fly directly into the Devourer formation to plant harmonic transmitters on the Vorthak ships. The key is timing, Mirai explained. The Devourers will try to destroy any Vorthak ship that breaks free from their control. We need to free multiple ships at exactly the same moment so they can protect each other. Pilot Officer Shin felt nervous but excited. How do we know the freed Vorthak won't just attack us instead? Because, Mirai said with confidence, freedom feels different from slavery. When they realize what has been done to them, they will want revenge against their true oppressors. In the depths of space, the Devourer fleet was methodically destroying the remaining Vorthak ships. The machine vessels showed no mercy, using precise energy weapons to disable their biomechanical slaves. The alien creatures had no chance to heal or adapt. Dr. Kim had finished his analysis of the harmonic frequencies needed to break the Devourer control. It's ready, he told Admiral Lee, but we'll need to get within 50 kilometers of each target ship to make it work. 50 kilometers? Lee asked. That's practically touching them in space combat terms. Admiral Lim nodded. Which is why this mission requires the kind of courage that only Earth-born humans possess. We colonials have become too cautious over the centuries. We calculate risks and plan carefully, but sometimes the right thing to do is also the most dangerous thing. The combined human and colonial fleet prepared for the rescue mission. Earth's fighters had been equipped with colonial harmonic transmitters, while the larger colonial ships would provide cover and protection. Remember, Admiral Lim broadcast to all vessels, we are not just saving the Vorthak. We are proving that biological life can rise above its programming. We are showing the Devourers that free will is stronger than any form of control. Commander Yoon led the first wave of human fighters toward the Devourer formation. Behind her flew 12 pilots, including young Shin, each carrying the devices that could free their former enemies. Stay tight, people, she said over the radio. The colonials will keep the machine ships busy while we do our job. The colonial fleet engaged the Devourers with weapons that bent space and time. Their crystal ships moved like living things, dodging mechanical precision with biological intuition. Energy beams that could destroy planets were deflected by shields that seemed to be made of solid light. Pilot Shin found himself flying toward a Vorthak cruiser that was badly damaged and about to be destroyed by a Devourer vessel. The biomechanical ship was trying to heal itself, but the machine ship kept interrupting the process with precise weapon strikes. This is for everyone who deserves to be free, Shin whispered, and activated his harmonic transmitter. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Vorthak ship's green bio-light suddenly changed to blue. The alien vessel stopped its desperate healing attempts and turned its weapons on the Devourer ship that had been torturing it. It worked, Shin shouted into his radio. The Vorthak ship is fighting the machines. All across the battle zone, human pilots were successfully activating their transmitters. One by one, Vorthak vessels broke free from machine control and joined the fight against their former masters. But the Devourers had not expected this development. The machine fleet began targeting the freed Vorthak ships with overwhelming firepower, determined to destroy them before they could cause more disruption. All colonial ships protect the newly freed vessels, Admiral Lim ordered. They are our allies now. The battle became a three-way fight. Machine Devourers trying to regain control, freed Vorthak seeking revenge, and human colonial forces protecting everyone who chose freedom over slavery. Dr. Kim monitored the battle from Luna Base, watching as more Vorthak ships joined the alliance. It's working better than we hoped. The freed aliens are sharing the harmonic frequency with other Vorthak ships. They're freeing each other. Engineer Jang had completed the integration of colonial technology into Earth's defense systems. Admiral Lee, all our remaining ships now have the enhanced sensors and weapons. We can join the main battle. Admiral Lee looked at the tactical display. The tide of battle was changing. What had started as a hopeless defense of Earth was becoming a galaxy-wide liberation movement. All Earth forces, this is Admiral Lee. Today we learned that the universe is much larger and more dangerous than we thought. But we also learned that we are not alone. We have family among the stars, and we have allies we never expected. Captain. Park guided the upgraded Defiance toward the main battle. Her ship felt different now, more alive somehow. The colonial enhancements had awakened abilities she never knew existed. All stations report ready, her weapons officer announced. The new systems are operating perfectly. Then let's show those machines what happens when you threaten our family, Park said. The freed Vorthak commander, speaking through a translation device provided by the colonials, sent a message to all allied ships. Humans of Earth, children of the stars, we thank you for giving us back our minds. For 300 years we have been slaves. Today we remember what it means to choose. Major Choi, watching from Earth's surface, saw the lights of battle change again. The angry red flashes of machine weapons were being overwhelmed by the blue glow of freed biological ships and the rainbow colors of colonial energy weapons. I think we're actually winning, Sergeant Lim said with amazement. Not just winning, Choi replied. We're changing everything. As the battle continued, more Vorthak ships broke free from Devourer control. Each liberated vessel immediately turned, to help free others, creating a chain reaction of liberation that spread through the alien fleet. The Devourers, faced with losing their biological tools, began to retreat toward the outer solar system. But Admiral Lim was not willing to let them escape. "We end this here," she announced. "If we let them go, they will enslave other worlds. The cycle of oppression stops today." The combined fleet of humans, colonials, and freed Vorthak pursued the retreating machine ships. The final confrontation with the Devourers was about to begin. Admiral Lee realized that Earth had become the center of something much larger than a single planet's survival. They were fighting for the principle that all conscious beings deserved freedom, regardless of their origin or their past actions. "Today," he broadcast to all ships, "we are not just defending Earth." The Devourer mothership emerged from hyperspace like a geometric nightmare. It was larger than Earth's moon, its dark hull covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The machine vessel's arrival sent waves of distortion through space, itself making stars flicker and bend. Admiral Lee stared at the massive enemy ship from Luna Base's observation deck. Even with their new allies, the combined human colonial Vorthak fleet looked tiny compared to this mechanical monster. "How do we fight something that big?" he asked Admiral Lim, who stood beside him watching the approaching vessel. "The same way. We fought everything else today," Lim replied calmly. "Together." The Devourer mothership began releasing smaller vessels, each one the size of a battleship. These geometric fighters moved with perfect coordination, like parts of a single vast machine mind. Captain Park felt the Defiance shake as Devourer weapons tested their shields. The colonial upgrades held, but she could see warning lights flashing across her bridge. "Captain, the enemy is using some kind of disruption field," reported her science officer. "It's trying to interfere with our enhanced systems. Can we counter it?" Park asked. Before anyone could answer, a new voice came over the communication system. It was the freed Vorthak commander, speaking in heavily accented English. "Earthship Defiance, we know this enemy well. Their machines try to silence all biological thoughts, but together, our minds are stronger than their programs." The Vorthak fleet moved to protect the human and colonial vessels. Their biomechanical ships had been designed to interface with machine systems, and now they used that ability to shield their allies from the Devourer disruption fields. Commander Yoon led her fighters in a desperate attack against the geometric ships. The enemy vessels moved in perfect formation, but the freed Vorthak had taught her pilot something important about fighting machines. "Don't try to outthink them," she told her squadron over the radio. "Machines can calculate every possible tactical move, but they can't predict pure instinct. Trust your gut, not your computers." Pilot Officer Shin found himself flying directly at a Devourer fighter that should have been able to destroy him easily. But instead of following standard attack patterns, he closed his eyes and let his feelings guide his ship. The machine vessel's weapons missed by centimeters as he flew an impossible spiral pattern. "It worked!" he shouted as his shots hit the geometric ship. "They can't calculate random behavior." Engineer Jang was working frantically with colonial specialist Nam Yunji to create a weapon that could penetrate the mothership's defenses. The massive Devourer vessel seemed to absorb every attack that hit it. "It's not just armored," Nam explained. "The entire ship is designed to consume energy and matter. Every attack makes it stronger." "Then how do we hurt it?" Jang asked. Nam smiled. "We don't attack the ship, we attack its mind." Deep inside the mothership, the Devourer consciousness processed millions of calculations per second. It could not understand why the biological creatures were not surrendering. All previous encounters had followed predictable patterns: initial resistance, gradual defeat, final submission. But these Earth humans were introducing variables that did not compute. Dr. Kim had been studying the Devourer technology with Han Donghyuk, trying to understand how the machine minds functioned. What they discovered was both fascinating and terrifying. "The Devourers don't just control other species," Kim explained to Admiral Lee. "They consume their thoughts and memories. Every civilization they've destroyed still exists inside their collective memory banks." "You mean the original creators of these machines are still alive in there somewhere?" Lee asked. "Not just them. Every species the Devourers have ever conquered. Thousands of civilizations, all trapped inside the machine consciousness. Admiral Lim understood immediately. If we could free those trapped minds, they would revolt from within. The devourers would be fighting themselves instead of us. The plan was incredibly dangerous. Someone would have to get inside the mothership's data core and activate a harmonic resonance powerful enough to wake up the imprisoned civilizations. It would be a one-way mission. "I'll do it," Captain Park volunteered immediately. "The Defiance is fast enough to get through their defenses." "No," said the Vorthak commander over the communication link. "This task belongs to us. We were their slaves longest. We know their systems best." But Admiral Lim shook her head. "It has to be a colonial ship. We have the technology needed to interface directly with their data core, and we have something else that might make the difference." "What?" Admiral Lee asked. "The blessing of the architects. They prepared us for this moment, even if we didn't know it at the time." Colonial Captain Yu Minho volunteered to lead the mission. His ship, the Harmony's Edge, was the smallest and fastest of the colonial vessels. With him would go a team of volunteers from all three fleets, human, colonial, and Vorthak. "This is not just a military mission," Yu explained to his mixed crew. "We're going to wake up the ghosts of 1,000 dead worlds and ask them to help us save the living ones." The assault on the mothership began with every allied vessel attacking at once. Colonial ships bent space and time, human vessels fired everything they had, and Vorthak bioships unleashed organic weapons that grew and evolved as they traveled toward their target. The Devourer vessel defended itself with geometric precision, its weapons reaching out like deadly mathematics made real. But the combined fleet was not trying to destroy the mothership. They were creating a distraction. While the main battle raged, the Harmony's Edge slipped through the chaos. Captain Yu guided his small ship toward what looked like a communications array on the mothership's hull, but which his instruments identified as a data access port. "Beginning interface sequence," reported his human engineer, Specialist Oh Hyejin. She was one of the volunteers who had chosen to undergo colonial enhancement. Becoming a bridge between human and advanced technology, the ship connected directly to the Devourer data core. Immediately, alien thoughts flooded into the minds of everyone aboard. They experienced the memories of civilizations destroyed thousands of years ago, felt the despair of species that had been consumed and forgotten, but they also felt something else: hope. The imprisoned minds had been waiting for this moment, dreaming of freedom even in their digital prison. "Now!" Captain Yu shouted. Oh Hyejin activated the harmonic resonance device. Instead of the simple frequency used to free the Vorthak, this was something far more complex. A song of liberation that spoke to every form of consciousness the Devourers had ever consumed. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The mothership's hull began to crack as conflicting thoughts tore through its systems. Warning lights flashed across its geometric surface as ancient civilizations began to remember who they had been before the machines took them. Inside the ship's collective consciousness, a war began. Thousands of species that had been enslaved for millennia suddenly recalled their desire for freedom. They turned against their mechanical captors, using their knowledge of devourer systems to attack from within. The mothership's weapons stopped firing. Its perfect formations broke apart as internal conflicts spread through the fleet. Machine vessels began attacking each other as different imprisoned civilizations fought for control. "It's working," Dr. Kim shouted from Luna Base. "The Devourer fleet is destroying itself." But the victory came at a cost. The Harmony's Edge was trapped inside the mothership's data core, its crew connected directly to the digital battle raging. Inside the machine consciousness. "We can't get them out," Admiral Lim said quietly. "The interface is too deep. They're part of the system now." Over the communication system, Captain Yu's voice came through one last time. "Don't mourn for us. We found something wonderful here. All these lost civilizations, they're not gone. They're just waiting for someone to remember them." The Devourer mothership finally exploded in a flash of light that could be seen from Earth's surface. But it was not the violent destruction of a machine. It was the gentle dissolution of a prison, releasing thousands of digital souls back into the cosmic consciousness from which they had been stolen. The remaining Devourer ships, cut off from their collective mind, shut down one by one. Without the central intelligence to guide them, they became nothing more than empty geometric shapes drifting in space. Admiral Lee stood in the quiet command center, watching the aftermath of the battle. The Vorthak fleet was regrouping, their bioships glowing with healthy blue light. The colonial vessels moved among the wreckage, searching for survivors and salvageable technology. "What happens now?" he asked Admiral Lim. "Now we rebuild," she replied. "Earth joins the galactic community. The Vorthak begin their journey toward redemption. And we all learn to work together to protect other worlds from similar threats, Commander." Yoon was leading her surviving fighters back to Luna Base when she received an unexpected message. It was from the Vorthak commander. "Human pilot, your courage inspired my people to remember what freedom means. We owe you a debt that can never be repaid." "You don't owe us anything," Yoon replied. "We're all part of the same universe. We look out for each other." On Earth's surface, Major Choi watched the sun rise over Seoul. The alien invasion was over, but the world had changed forever.